Hello. Okay, so I am making a very long overdue video today. I bought these palettes months and months ago, like back at the very start of the spring. I bought them with all the intentions in the world of jumping on and making a quick video right then using the palettes, and then lots of life things happened. So it's been a while since I purchased these palettes in a GLAMLITE sale. I'm pretty sure GLAMLITE has had a few sales since, but I am finally getting around to filming this video. I purchased 3 more GLAMLITE palettes. Did I need them? No. Did I want them? Yes. These were definitely purchased at a moment when I was very high on GLAMLITE, having just discovered them and used their formula for the first time. Still love GLAMLITE and love my GLAMLITE palettes, but I feel like that's an important disclaimer because 2 out of the 3 palettes I'm going to be showing you today are from their collab with Michaela. Listen, I am an elder millennial, okay? I just started posting on TikTok consistently within the past few months. I don't know anything about Michaela. I don't know anything about that. I feel like she's a very controversial figure. I really don't know anything about her, and the palettes were deeply discounted, which is why I bought them and why we're here today. But what can I say? The palettes that she did with GLAMLITE really caught my eye in terms of the color stories, and I'm going to be trying them for you today. I haven't even watched anyone else's YouTube videos of these palettes, which is something that I pretty much always do before purchasing a new palette. So I'm going in as a complete stranger and I'm just gonna try some looks out for you. I'm gonna try to do one look with each of the 3 palettes in this video today, but let me know if there's a palette that you would like to see more looks from. I imagine some of these are palettes that many of you might have at home. And I'm gonna start with the Michaela palette. I just did some swatches and kind of swatched out this palette. Looking at the color story, I really thought I was gonna want to do a green look right away. But then I got to the kind of bottom 2 rows where there's purples and blues, and that's actually the color story that I left swatched on my arm. I was feeling really inspired by the way that the blues look with these kind of rich cranberry purples. So I think that's actually the look that I'm going to do with this palette today. I'm going to start with the shade No Hash Lines. Maybe I should zoom you in a little bit first. There we go. Okay, so taking that really light blue shade, I'm just going to put that on the kind of inner part of my crease. I think I'm going to do blue to purple. So swatching these out, they definitely reminded me of the previous GLAMLITE palettes I've swatched for you, but especially the Barbie, is it called the Summer Dreams palette? I remember that one also had pastel mattes that didn't swatch very well, but ended up blending really nicely. So I feel like GLAMLITE is one of those brands where the swatches don't really tell the whole story almost, because look, even that shade, for such a pastel shade, it's coming up really, really bright on my lids. I'm actually thinking I might even take this all the way down into the inner corner. I'm really feeling inspired by a bright, fun pastel inner corner right now. It happened to me last summer too. I was really into the bright inner corners for a while. Yeah, I think that looks really cool. Okay, we might need to touch up that inner corner later, but for now, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna take another fluffy brush. Ooh, every time I move the palette, it makes that noise, which is kind of annoying. Take a fluffy brush and the shade Mama Wang, which is just a really light purpley shade. And I'm just gonna put that on the outer corner. Not really blending the 2 together, but just kind of bringing them up to meet each other. Well, I don't know, maybe they'll blend together in the middle. Let's try it. That might actually look really pretty. Yeah, creates a really nice kind of periwinkle shade in the middle there. Yeah, these are really, really pigmented pastels. I'm really impressed. I feel like this is a really fun pastel look so far, but I'm like about to ruin it by making it a lot more grungy. I'm having second thoughts about ruining it by making it more grungy, but I have to. So I do think I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of that first baby blue shade that we used and just pull that up onto the lid a bit. Just in the first like inner third. And then I'm gonna take the shade 2021 and kind of put that through the center of my lid to start to blend into the purple. All right, that doesn't need to be perfect because I'm going to cover over it with shimmer anyway. But on the outer corner, I'm going to take the shade Authenticity. I feel like this would be a really, really pretty, like just all matte kind of watercolor look, which is not what I'm doing. I swear I'm going to put some shimmer on in a minute, but just another idea of the ways to kind of use the mattes in this palette. I've just been using the same brush at this point for the past couple of colors because it's all gonna kind of blend together anyway. I am gonna switch back to a fluffy brush and go back into that lighter purple shade just to blend out this edge. How pretty is this look though? Should I just stop here? Like if I just spent some more time blending this and left it all matte, I feel like that would also be a really, really cool look. Super pretty. It's occurring to me that I probably should have grabbed my glitter glue for these, but I didn't bring it in here with me. So there might be some fallout, but that's okay. I'm gonna take the shade I Love You, and I'm going to put that in the inner third. Oh my gosh. Wow, okay. No glitter glue needed for the payoff. That is stunningly beautiful, just on its own. Wow. I was not expecting that to show up so well and be so pigmented for a shimmer. I was expecting it to be a little bit more like the swatch, which just makes it look more sparse and more like a topper shade, but that really delivered. Same on the other eye. Gorgeous, loving that so far. And now I'm gonna go in with the shade Baddie. And this is the shade that I think is gonna take this from more like Rainbow Princess Unicorn to a little bit more grunge. So we'll see how we like it. Don't get me wrong, I love a good Rainbow Unicorn Princess look. Mermaid vibes, all of that. But there was just something about this shade that was very intriguing to me because it's very plummy, almost neutral in its undertone. And I feel like if you didn't have the blue and you just did this shade with like a brown in the crease, it almost worked as like a neutral shade. I think I'm just going to blend the two together with my finger. And I'm debating whether or not to put one of these topper shades from the top row over everything. The shade Glazed is just sort of like a white, bright topper. The shade Poppin' might be cool because it's got like a blue highlight to it. And then there's the shade Sparkly, which is purple. I think I'm gonna take the shade Poppin' and just kind of tap that more so over the blue part. Whoa, wow. That is really pretty. It just kind of brightened it right up. Just kind of keeping that in the inner third area again. I'm not sure how well you can see the difference that that made, but it just added a little something something. Then maybe we take Sparkly and just tap that in the middle to kind of blend blue into purple. I don't know. All right, I do need to hurry this along because believe it or not, I have to get on a Zoom call after this. May or may not take off my eyeshadow before that. But let's move to the lower lash line. So I'm definitely going to take that brightest blue matte that we have in the inner corner, and I'm going to pull that underneath as well. Yeah, this might be one where I just quickly wipe off my eyeshadow before hopping on Zoom. Which is a shame because this is a really pretty look. I think I'm going to do kind of what I did on the top, and I'm going to pull that shade along. I'm just really impressed by the pigmentation of this shade. It's kind of amazing for how pastel it is. I just dipped into the shade 2021, which is like that more periwinkle matte. Thinking about keeping my lower lash line matte. Although shimmer would be really pretty, I'm loving how the mattes are looking together. I'm sorry if you can hear that little tinkling. My cat is playing with one of his toys. And then I think I'm actually going to take a matte that I haven't used yet, this one called Mimu. I don't know what any of these names mean. This one's just a little bit lighter than the shade I used out here, and it's a little bit warmer, so it might just kind of warm up the look slightly. Oh yeah, I think that works. I think that's the look. I am really, really loving this. So let me go put some mascara on. You know the drill, and then I will be back to show you the finished look. All right, so this is the look all finished with mascara. I used the new What's Up Beauty Watch Me mascara. If you haven't seen my Instagram reel or TikTok about this, they did send it to me, but it is amazing. Especially if you like a really dramatic lash, like the look of falsies, but without having to wear falsies, which is what I like most of the time, especially when I'm wearing a really bright eye look like this. You can really build it up and get lots of drama to your lashes. Or if you just do like one quick coat, which is what I did yesterday before work, it gives a really nice daytime version of just like a really fluttery, beautiful lash. It has a really cool brush, so it's like a typical kind of mascara wand, but then if you turn it, you can see that there's a comb on one side. So you're able to kind of really build up the mascara on your lashes and then comb through any clumps. And I really like the brush. I feel like that's a really smart idea for a mascara brush, because then you just get really big, volumized, thick lashes, but they don't look super clumpy. So huge fan of the mascara, huge fan of the eye look, honestly. I really like the way that this came out. I think the thing that blew me away the most was actually the mattes. Again, here I go, talking about matte eyeshadows. I don't know why I sometimes get so excited about matte eyeshadows, but if a matte pastel blue performs like this, without having to put like a white base underneath it, that is really, really impressive to me. Obviously the shimmers are beautiful. I think we can all agree that the shimmers are beautiful. I already knew that I liked GLAMLITE's shimmer formula anyway, so I'm happy that this palette is no different from my previous experience. So yes, that is everything for look number one. I'm gonna come back and do a different look with a different palette, so I will see you in just a sec. Okay, we are back for look number two with the second palette. If I'm looking a little disheveled, it's because it is now 7:19 p.m. So several hours later than I was expecting to be filming this look. After I took the first look off, I just have been wearing my base makeup all day, which is fine. I was thinking I would be able to just hop on my Zoom meeting and then come back and film the second look, but it ended up being a pretty busy day working from home. So here we are, but it is time now to dip into the other Michaela palette that I purchased from GLAMLITE, which is the 10 color palette. A lot more neutral leaning, but still with some fun greens and some really, really pretty shades in this palette. I mean, it is technically a neutral palette, but the greens are really fun and unique. I'm trying to think what kind of a look to do. My eye initially goes right to the very end of the palette here, the shimmer shade, the Butterfly, with this really, really deep shade called Tea Time. I feel like that pairing is just really drawing me in for some reason. I'm wondering too about how the shade the Butterfly would pair with the light kind of minty shades. These right here, Blossom and Soft Center. So I'm thinking I might do a little playing around with that. Honestly, I loved my bright inner corner so much earlier today that I might do another bright inner corner with those minty shades. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna start pretty predictably though with a couple crease shades. So I'm gonna go into the shade Charcuterie, and this is just sort of a light, not really light, a medium, I guess. Warm brown. Let me actually zoom you in again. So just putting that shade through my crease. I would tell you that I primed my eyes with the Ulta Beauty Matte Eyeshadow Primer and set with my Pat McGrath Under Eye Blurring Setting Powder, but I feel like you're probably getting tired of hearing that because I say it in like every video now. It's just like my go-to priming combo these days. But that's what I used. My hair is trying to escape this bun that I've had it in all day. So if you see any runaway hairs, please just try to ignore them. Is that better? Is that worse? Oh, might be worse. Okay. We're just gonna ignore the hair, okay? It's been a long day. I am looking forward to filming this video and then immediately getting in the shower to wash off the eye look that I'm about to create. Okay, that's looking good. It shears out quite nicely. So I think I'm gonna go into the next deepest brown. Again, with these pronunciations, I just don't know. I wanna say this is Chirico. If you know the reference, let me know how to pronounce this in the comments. But it's this one right here. It's an even warmer, even darker, kind of more chestnutty kind of a brown than the first shade that we used, which I love. I absolutely love warm brown mattes. As we've established, I am a matte eyeshadow girly. Can't get enough of them and apparently can't shut up about them. Okay, so far so good. I am just kind of slowly building up some depth with the mattes. So now I'm gonna go in with that deepest, it's almost like a purpley, blackened, plummy sort of a brown called Tea Time. I'm actually gonna take a angled shadow, what am I saying? An angled liner brush and do kind of like a smoky winged liner kind of a shape to build up some depth at the lash line and the outer corner. That pigmentation on that shade is really, really good. That just went on so deep and dark. Love that. So I'm gonna get my general shape down on both eyes, and then I'll kind of blend that and soften it. Just sort of blending that toward the inner corner of my eye with whatever's left on my brush to make it a little bit softer and keep the depth on sort of the outer portion. And then with a flat brush, I'm just gonna take a little bit of that brown shade Chirico and start to blend this out. Just kind of blending over the edges a bit so that it's not a really graphic structured line, but it's just sort of shadow. And then if I feel like I've lost a little bit of depth anywhere, I'll just tap back into the shade Tea Time and just kind of add it back. Again, working mostly on the outer corner. This doesn't have to be perfect because I am gonna put shimmer on the lid. But I just want it to be blended so that we have a nice base. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm gonna take my shimmer. I'm gonna use the shade The Butterfly, which is this really pretty duochrome, sort of warm brown to bluish, purplish flip. And I am not using glitter glue again because earlier I didn't use glitter glue and the shimmers applied beautifully. So I'm just gonna skip that and go right in with my finger across the lid. It's quite a dimensional shade too, so I think I'm just gonna build it up on the outer corner just to kind of enhance that outer corner space a little bit. And then just take my blending brush and blend that at the edges. I think that's really pretty. It's kind of like a subtle twist on a typical warm smoky eye. I just love shades like this. It reminds me a bit of the one in the Pat McGrath Moonlit Seduction palette, but this one's a little bit different. It's a little bit more, I don't know, purpley. I feel like the glitters are a lot more kind of bright blue. So I find myself constantly being drawn to these like blue-brown flip shades, but I find that they're all slightly different enough for me to justify to myself having them all. For the lower lash line, I think I'm just going to continue using Tea Time, but just kind of connect it up to the outer corner and press that really close to my lower lashes. And I'm not going to take it all the way over. I'm going to reserve a little space in here, maybe for some green. We'll see. All right, and then I'm going to blend out that lower lash line with the shade Charcuterie, which is the lighter matte warm brown that we started with. Do I go in with these minty greens on the inner corner? Why not? I think we do it. So I think right along the lash line here, meeting up with the browns that we just put down, I'm gonna take the shade Soft Center, which is the minty matte green. And I'm just going to meet that up with the brown and then kind of pull it in towards the inner corner. It's minty, but it's got kind of a muted quality to it, a little bit of saginess that I think, I don't know, it makes it kind of work with the neutral browns. I wish I had an eyeliner this color because I think that would look really cool in the waterline. And then just with my finger, I'm going to go into the shade Blossom, which is the minty shimmer shade. It's really like probably the only inner corner shade in the palette, actually. So I'm going to put that in my true inner corner, and I'm also going to kind of go over the green matte on the bottom of it as well. Oh, that is such a gorgeous shade. I love it. GLAMLITE kills it with the shimmers, I'm telling ya. They do an amazing job. And I'm just gonna actually take that up a little bit onto my lid to kind of meet with the shimmer on the top, and it kind of does blend in with those bright blue sparkles. I mean, it doesn't perfectly match, but I feel like it's kind of cohesive after all. Like, I don't know. These aren't shades I would normally pair together, but I feel like it works. Let's see what it looks like after I put mascara on, so I will be right back. All right, so I am back with mascara on, this What's Up Beauty mascara. I'm telling ya, good stuff. And I really like this look. I feel like it's, yeah, like I said, it's not a combination of colors that I typically pair together, but it's giving me like, I don't know, the inner corner is giving me like Tinkerbell vibes, and then the rest of the eye is like a grungy twist on a smoky eye, so it's like grungy Tinkerbell in my mind. I don't know. But yeah, again, the GLAMLITE mattes blend like a dream. Very impressed with the shimmers. No glitter glue at all. Didn't wet my brush, nothing. Like, just dip your finger in there and touch it to your eyelid and it practically does the work itself. So pretty happy with this palette as well. There's still a few shades that I haven't used in here yet, so I'll be really interested to try, especially this deeper green shade. That is a color that I just absolutely adore on the eyes. So I'm really looking forward to trying that one out. Here is the second look. So I am going to now pass you on to future Sarah for the third and final look. All right, I am back for look number 3 and palette number 3. This is the palette that I was lusting after for the longest time, which is the Scooby-Doo Rut-Row Raggy palette. And this color story just looked like so much fun to me. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see in the swatches, but this one is swatching, especially the mattes, are swatching even more sheer than the others. So of course, that doesn't necessarily determine what they're going to look like on the eyes, but definitely something that I noticed, like all of the mattes swatched really sheerly. The shimmers, some of the shimmers were sheerer than others, but they still look really, really beautiful. So trying to think what look I want to do, and I definitely think I want to play with the green side of the palette. Maybe something like a halo eye. We'll see. So let me actually pull my hair back and zoom you in and we will get started. So I guess I'm gonna start in the usual way with a light matte. So I'm gonna take this one here. So I'm just noticing that these shades don't actually have names, but I'm gonna start with the lightest green matte. I'm actually kind of running out of brushes, which always happens to me when I do these multiple look videos and I'm working with lots of different colors. So I'm using like all my mini travel size brushes at this point, but after this, I'm gonna wash all of my brushes and have them all fresh and ready to go. So even though the swatch of this shade was pretty sheer, you can see it's building up in my crease pretty well. So yeah, I don't really know what it is about the GLAMLITE mattes that sometimes just makes them not swatch the best, but they work on the eyes really well. I guess it just goes to show that sometimes swatches are not always the best indicator of how a shadow is going to perform. All right, that's looking good. So now I guess I'm gonna start with my halo shape. So I'm gonna take the medium, it's almost like a teal green, and I'm just gonna start putting this on the inner and outer portions. There again, it's like the swatch was terrible, but that was just me dipping my brush in one time and the payoff is really, really good. So maybe my arm is just not the best canvas for swatching. I don't know. Don't trust the arm swatches for this one because so far so good with the mattes showing up. And then just with the edge of my brush, I'm gonna kind of blend that in slightly and create my little bridge between the two sides. My halo eyes always look uneven, like every time, without fail. I always angle this eye out and I angle this eye pretty like straight up vertically. And I don't know why I do that every single time, but I do. It usually ends up looking okay once I get the shimmers on, but you would think that I would have learned by now to pay more attention to my angle. All right, I'm going back in with a fluffy brush and that first green shade just to kind of try to blend that even further. All right, looking pretty messy so far, but that's okay. We're gonna trust the process and I'm gonna go in with the deepest green shade and I'm gonna start deepening up at the lash line and the outer corner. These are very vibrant greens, and the way that they're mixing together, like the mix of the three of them kind of out here on this outer corner, is making for a really cool, fun, bright green shade. All right, so I might refine that a bit further after the shimmers, but I'm gonna go in with these shimmers first. I think I'm actually gonna go darkest to lightest with the shimmers. So I'm gonna take the darkest green shimmer here. It's a dark foresty green base, but it's got a lot of blue sparkle to it. Really, really pretty shade. And I'm just gonna take that on the outside and the inside of my lid. Wow. Talk about payoff. I barely touched my finger into the pan, and that is going onto the eye beautifully with no glitter glue. Okay, and then for the middle, I'm trying to decide which of the two lighter green shades would look the best, because there's one that's a little bit more like yellowy green and one that's a little bit more minty green. I think I'm gonna go with the yellowy green on my lid and then put the minty green on my inner corner. So I'm gonna use both of them, but yeah, I feel like I wanna tie in some more of that yellow that we've got going on in the mattes. So I'm first gonna take this shade here to put through the center of my lid. And then I'll just switch back in between my two fingers that I used to apply to kind of blend those two shadows together at the edges. Those are really stunning shades, so shimmery and impactful. So I'm going to go around the edges of that with my blending brush one more time, just to make sure that those shimmer shades are kind of blended in seamlessly with the rest of the look. And then I'll just touch up that outer corner again with the deepest matte shade. And I'll actually go ahead and drag that onto the lower lash line. Do outer corner and inner corner. Or inner third rather. I'm saving the inner corner for some more shimmer. Okay, my camera died, so I had to finish the eyes without you, but all I did was, after I applied that darkest green, I just sort of blended it out a little bit, and then I put the brighter of the two light green shimmers in the center on the bottom, and the mintier of the two light green shimmers on the inner corner, and added mascara, and that is look number 3. So that's gonna do it for this 3 looks, 3 palettes video. This was really fun. I feel like even though all of the palettes kind of speak to one another in the way that they are playing with blues and greens and neutrals and shimmers and mattes, they are all very different, or at least that's how I'm justifying them all to myself. I think it's too early to say which one would be my favorite out of the 3. Obviously, if you were looking for a palette that had a lot of variation to it, I feel like the original Mikayla palette obviously has quite a bit more variation than it even looks like it does, because there's more neutrals in here than you would think, as well as blues, purples, greens, etc. The Mikayla Part 2 palette I'm really excited about because I love a kind of neutral eye with a twist. That's one of my favorite looks to wear. I love kind of doing like a neutral smoky glam look with a little bit something different that just kind of barely catches your eye, and I feel like this palette is perfect for that because you've got so many of your neutrals in here, but then you also have some really fun pops of color. This color Blossom here that I ended up wearing in the inner corner when I used this palette is stunning, and when I posted the look on Instagram, on my Instagram stories, I got lots of comments about that shade asking what it was. So obviously this one is definitely a stunner. And then the Scooby-Doo Ruh-Roh Raggy palette, I mean, I've just now done this look, which is very sort of dramatic. But I think, I don't know, I think it's also a palette that would lend itself really well to colorful looks that are still simple. So just one of the mattes through the crease and one of the shimmers all over the lid. But I do love that it has that depth going for it. Like this deep green shade that I've used in the look today is beautiful, and I love that you can really, really deepen up whatever look it is that you're going for. So I had a lot of fun creating these looks and playing with these palettes. Obviously gonna have to get to know each of the palettes a little bit more to form my full review, but let me know if there's any other content you would like to see with any of these palettes. If I were to do a multiple looks, 1 palette video, which of these palettes would you want to see the most? If you have any of these palettes, I would be interested to know that as well. And if you have any go-to looks with any of these palettes, please let me know that in the comments too. I'm always looking for ideas of looks to try, and now that I've actually gotten my hands on these palettes, maybe I will find time to go back and watch people's YouTube videos and other content using these palettes from way back when they first came out. But I think that is everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and sticking all the way to the end. Don't forget to give the video a like if you liked it, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye!